Alrighty, so time for a quick review of order of operations. We're not going to talk about it in terms of the PEMDAS you've heard before or some other stuff. We're just going to talk about it in order of the way you should do it. If your PEMDAS is working for you, I don't have an issue with that. But again, I'm not going to talk about it exactly like that. Alrighty, first thing we'll talk about is powers, base, and exponent. An expression in the form of x to the n, where x is the base, so it's a definition there for you, and n is the exponent. An example might look like this if I have 4 to the third power. So obviously the base is 4 right here, and the exponent is 3. You could have negative 6 to the 10th power. Negative 6 is the base, the power is 10. Simplify is kind of a simple word, really, to replace an expression with its simplest name or form. So what that looks like, things like 2 plus 6, right? And that's 8. Or if I have 3 squared minus 4. Simplest form means I want to do is all the math, basically, right? 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 4 makes that 5. So simplest form, so simplifying something. Simplest form. Okay, to evaluate is to substitute a given number for each variable and then to simplify. So what that looks like is if you had something like x plus y, and I said, well, x is 2 and y is 3, you would then substitute, right, these numbers in here. So 2 plus 3, and then simplify the last term we had to get 5. That's all I mean when I say evaluate. Alrighty, so for now, order of operations, we're just going to give our definition this year, right? And before, and I'll talk about this briefly, remember you might have learned this, right? Oops, D-A-S. You'll figure out pretty quick this year. I don't really have the best handwriting. I try. I'll do my best for you. Okay, so anyway, grouping symbols. So before you said parentheses, but there's a lot of things that work as grouping symbols. Sometimes we can use fraction bars. So if I have 2 plus 5 on a fraction over 3, obviously you're going to add the 2 plus 5 first. That makes this fraction bar a grouping symbol, kind of like a secret set of parentheses. We're up here the whole time. So when I say grouping symbols, I don't just mean parentheses, brackets, braces. Obviously still exponents, that's going to be next. Multiplication, division from left to right. This is one of those things that, you look on Facebook and people put these problems on there and they all argue about it. There's only one right way to do it. Anybody that says different is literally wrong. So multiplication, division, so you fix all this stuff first. And these other rules apply within here too, especially within grouping symbols. Then you go back from left to right, division and multiplication. As you come to them, you don't go, oh, all the multiplication, then all the division, right? As you come to them left to right. And we'll do some examples in your book stuff here in a few moments. Addition and subtraction, again, from left to right as you come to them. You don't go through and do all the addition, then all the subtraction. From left to right as you come to them. And I'll do an example here on the next slide for you. All right, here's just a nice simple example of order of operations. So again, on that last slide, let me pop that back in. There we go. So start with your grouping symbols. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So everything else just gets carried down. That's important. Everything else just gets brought down. One thing at a time, one line at a time. Okay, so all I'm going to deal with, I know you could probably turn the 4 squared into 16 right now, but we're not going to do that. We're going to save that for the proper order. 2 plus 1 is 3. One thing changed. That's it. One thing at a time. Okay, now we're done with those grouping symbols because technically now the 5 times 3 is multiplication. So that's later on. So exponents. 4 squared is 16. Bring down everything else. So this is how you show me all the work, by the way, which you've already heard I'm a stickler on. Okay, now we're done with grouping symbols. We're done with exponents. So let's take a look at multiplication division. I do have an example of that. 5 times 3 is 15. So 16 minus 15. Now we're done with all multiplication and division. Spit that out, multiplication and division. So we finished this, finished this, finished this. Now we're down to the add subtract phase. 16 minus 15 is 1. So that's what we're looking for here, order of operations.